What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Weekly here presented by Prime Sports World. Before we get going on this show, I'm your host, stepping in here for David. I'm usually here for the college football showdown show, but I'm here to do the fantasy football weekly show solo dolo tonight. And these are our week 18 rankings. But before we get the show going, just want to keep our prayers up for Damar Hamlin. This has been a theme of ours here at Prime Sports World. Just want to let everyone know that his we're keeping him in our prayers and thoughts, and the updates have been good. He's breathing on his own, and everything is good. So wish a speedy recovery here for Damar Hamlin. But before we get to the show on Fantasy Football Weekly, I want you guys to stop. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Prime Sports World Facebook page and YouTube page and our Twitch page. And in case you missed this live feed, you can catch us on all major audio platforms where podcasts can be heard here on Apple Music, Amazon, Samsung, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, baby. So we're all here, got you covered at Prime Sports World around the clock. But anyways, here to start those fantasy football races. I mean, man, we're here at week 18. It was a dandy. I know it kind of got a little bit mixed up here last week because of the sudden stoppage of the Bengals in the Bengals in the Bills game. I know some championships were kind of messed up here due to the sudden stoppage. I know in one of my leagues, I know the two guys that that were in the championship, they both got $1,000 instead of one getting 600 and the winner getting like 1,500. So that was a good thing. They paid a lot of leagues paid out equally if their season did end in week 17. But if it did not, and you're still going week 18, here Fantasy Football Weekly has you covered, bringing the heat 24/7 every week. Every Wednesday, me and David would bring you this show. But anyways, moving forward to our fantasy football rankings, I'll start with those pass throwers and those flamethrowers, and I'll go with David's rankings first. At number one, he's got Jalen Hurts. Going for that NFC East title. At number two, he's got Patrick Mahomes. At number three, he's got Justin Herbert. Number four, Trevor Lawrence going up against those Tennessee Titans. I think that's for the AFC South there for Trevor Lawrence. So I do think he does have some top five value there. Number five, you got Kirk Cousins. Number six, Aaron Rodgers. 7, Josh Allen. 8, Joe Burrow. 9, Geno Smith. And at number 10, he's got Jared Goff. And then on his outside looking in, David has Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, and Jefferson. Brock Purdy for San Francisco 49ers is going for that number one seed. So very important game here coming down the stretch. But David's got you locked in. And then the sneaky and daily for DraftKings, which is very cheap. Kenny Pickett at 5,000 there. Love it, David. Keep it going. Still ending the year on a big note. We kind of have similar rankings here. My number one ranking, I got Pat Mahomes starting off going up against Las Vegas. They don't have much to play for. Well, they do have much to play for in terms of the number one seed, but the Las Vegas Raiders don't have anything to play for pretty much, so they may lay down in that matchup. But Pat Mahomes is going to have a field day. Number two, I got Jalen Hurts going up against the New York Giants. Number three, I got Joe Burrow going up against the Baltimore Ravens. At number four, I got Josh Allen. 5, Trevor Lawrence. 6, Aaron Rodgers going against the Detroit Lions in that control your own destiny matchup, getting into the playoffs. Number 7, I got Dak Prescott. 8, Justin Herbert going into Denver. At number 9, I got Kirk Cousins going into Chicago. I expect him to put up some gaudy numbers, especially they still have a lot to play for, especially for that. I believe they can play for that number 2 seed or so. In that number 10, right on my top 10, I got Jared Goff going up against Green Bay. I think that's going to be a slobber knocker there. And then I'm outside looking in. I got Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, and Deshaun Watson. If you're looking for a sneaky daily, I have Deshaun Watson at 6,800. That's pretty cheap for him. He's been playing pretty well of late. Going up against Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh still had a chance, but the Cleveland Browns are looking to play spoiler. So I expect Deshaun Watson to be on his A game in that game. Moving on from our pass throwers to our runners, I'll start first. I got Christian McCaffrey at number 1, had an excellent week last week. At number 2, I got Derrick Henry going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he has a big game. He plays really well always against Jacksonville. At number 3, I got Austin Eckler. Number 4, Josh Jacobs. At number 5, I got Aaron Jones. At number 6, I got Dalvin Cook going up against Chicago. Number 7, Travis Etienne in that AFC South matchup. He's been playing really well of late, pretty much all season. Since they made him the premier running back in that offense. At number 8, Kenneth Walker. I expect him to have a pretty good game against the LA Rams, who have been not so good this year defensively. At number 9, I got Najee Harris. And then running on my top 10, I got Joe Mixon. I do believe he has a good matchup. He's going up against a Baltimore team that's pretty good, stopping the run. They've been played really well defensively. But I think he has a lot of upside here in this matchup. They'll use him a lot, to get things going there. He has the top 10 value. I expect him to get in the end zone here. And outside looking in, I got Ramondre Stevenson, Cam Akers, Jerick McKinnon, who broke a Chiefs record last week. He is definitely getting, especially in PPR leagues, definitely getting a lot of love out that backfield in the passing game. And then my cheap option in FanDuel, I got Tyler Algier at 6,500. He's been on a tear for the Atlanta Falcons, this year. So expect Tyler Algier to do some things this week, especially in that last game of the season. They're going up against Tampa Bay, but I expect Tyler Algier to do his thing there. Moving over to David's rankings, he's got Dalvin Cook at number 1 going up against Chicago. So that's just let go 265 yards last week on the ground. So I expect Dalvin Cook to keep going. I love that by David at number 1, taking a chance there. Number 2, Austin Eckler, who's been amazing this season. Number 3, Nick Chubb trying to play spoiler against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And number 4, Christian McCaffrey. 5, Derrick Henry. We're kind of close there. I got him at number 2. He's got him at number 5. He thinks they're probably going to be down a little bit in this game due to Trevor Lawrence passing game, but I expect Derrick Henry to play a big part in that game against Jacksonville. At number 6, he's got Aaron Jones. 7, Kenneth Walker. 8, Joe Mixon. He has him in the top 10 as well. Number 9, Josh Jacobs. 10, Alvin Candid Kamara. And then on his outside looking, he's got Jared McKinnon as well. Jamal Williams, who's had a 1,000-yard season there in Detroit. And Najee Harris, who's been playing well in the second half of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had a pretty good game last week. Caught the game-winning touchdown through the air for Kenny Pickett. So expect Najee Harris to do some big things. And then Sneaky and Daily and DraftKings, he's got Cordell Patterson, the Tyler Allgeier's counterpart. He's got him at 5,300. Cordell Patterson has found the end zone, I think, the last 2 out of 3 contests. So expect Cordell Patterson to do some things according to David at 5,300. Moving on from our running backs, we're going straight to our pass catchers and wide receivers. Number 1, David has Justin Jefferson. Moving on up, all the way to number 1, David. That is great. Me and him are on the same wavelength. At number 2, he's got A.J. Brown. At number 3, he's got C.D. Lamb. All these games matter. They can all, they're in for the AFC East, have implications for the AFC East and the number 1 playoff seed. At number 4, he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. 5, Devontae Adams, who had a killing with Jared Stidham at quarterback. He's got him this weekend in Vegas again. At number 6, Tyreek Hill. 7, Stephon Diggs. 8, Jamar Chase. 9, Keenan Allen. And rounding out his top 10, he's got Christian Kirk. And then on his outside looking in, he's got Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, and his sneaky daily, he's got Demarcus Robinson at 3,600 in DraftKings for the Baltimore Ravens. So look for Demarcus Robinson to do some things this week against the Cleveland Browns, according to David here. Moving on to my rankings, I got number 1. Moving on now, Justin Jefferson, Jay Jetta, baby. At number 1, me and David are on the same wavelength. I think he's going to have a killing against the Chicago Bears. Number 2, we got Jamar Chase. 3, Tyreek Hill. 4, Devontae Adams. I do agree with David. I do think that him and Jared Stidham, kind of found some magic. And Kansas City Chiefs haven't really been, that great on defense, stopping those pass catchers, those wide receivers. So I expect Devontae Adams to do some things. Actually, I believe in these updated rankings, Devontae Adams may not be playing. We'll see if he is a go, but I don't think he will be playing. I'm looking at other guys' other pundits' rankings, and he's not in the top 10 at all. So we'll see about that. Number 5, we got C.D. Lamb. Playoff implications going against Washington. They were just eliminated. Dallas Cowboys are going to be looking for him a lot. Number 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown in that do-or-die game going up against Green Bay. Number 7, Stephon Diggs. 8, A.J. Brown. 9, Keenan Allen. 10, DK Metcalf. I have some of the Bills players a little lower just because of the situation that's happening. I don't know where their psyche is, but I would have Stephon Diggs a little bit higher going against New England. But that is a tough, gaudy defense. Rooting on my outside looking in, I got Devontae Smith going up against the New York Giants. They've kind of, the New York Giants have solidified a playoff spot already, so they may be resting their starters against Philly. Philly wants to get that number 1 seed, so expect Devontae Smith to do some things. Garrett Wilson at 2, 3, T. Higgins, and on my sneaky and daily, I got Randall Cobb at 5,200. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, Randall Cobb. Want to know why I got Randall Cobb? Because Randall Cobb plays big in these type of games down the stretch. Give me Randall Cobb in this game going up against the Detroit Lions. Moving on to our tight ends. I'll go number 1. We already know who it is. Travis Kelce, number 1 until the end of time, until he retires and puts that gold jacket on. At number 2, I got George Kittle. 3, T.J. Hockenson. 4, Mark Andrews. 5, Evan Ingram going against those Tennessee Titans there. I expect Trevor Lawrence to find him in the end zone this week. He's a top 5 tight end. Number 6, Dalton Schultz. Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz. And number 7, I got Dallas Goedert. 8, Pat Freiermuth. 9, David Njoku. And right number top 10, I got Tyler Higbee. And then on my outside looking in, I have Darren Waller, Taysom Hill, and Noah Fant. And if you're looking for a cheap option in FanDuel, look no other than Tommy Tremble at 4,800. I expect big things to happen out of Tommy Tremble there. So if you're looking for a cheap option, He's had a good rapport. I think he had a touchdown last week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, there, so yeah, go ahead and find Tommy Trimble there if you're playing fantasy. Daily fantasy either on Godly, either on FanDuel or DraftKings. He's cheap there at 4,800, and especially for the Carolina Panthers, who have been kind of going broke and going against New Orleans Saints. Both teams don't have anything to play for. I expect them to just kind of play freely there. Yes, Tommy Tremble caught all three of his targets for 33 yards and a touchdown last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I expect him to do big things coming up this week going against the New Orleans Saints. And then with David's tight end rankings, number one and number two, and number three are all the same. Got Travis Kelce, George Kittle, TJ Hockenson. At number four, Evan Ingram. 5, Dalton Schultz. 6, Mark Andrews. 7, Darren Waller. 8, Dallas Goedert. 9, Taysom Hill. 10, Cole Kmet. And then his outside looking, he's got Pat Freiermuth, Jared Everett, Hayden Hurst, and Steve Daly. At number 4 is Isaiah Likely at 2,800 for the Baltimore Ravens. And I am gonna take a 3 minute break here, and I'll have you guys look over the defensive rankings live as I go off, and I'll put some music here for you guys as we pause for a small break here in the action of our Fantasy Football Weekly show here, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I am back after that brief break here for Prime Sports World. And if you guys again are looking to catch the most consistent content here on social media, feel free to go share, subscribe, and like our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch page here at Prime Sports World. And in case you missed this live audio broadcast of Fantasy Football Weekend, you can catch us here on Apple Podcasts, Samsung Music, Amazon Music, or Samsung Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, baby. So here at Prime Sports World, we have you covered. Moving on to my defensive rankings. Number one, I have the best defense in the NFL, in my opinion, in the San Francisco 49ers, baby, going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who have nothing to play for. They're at home. I believe the Arizona Cardinals are not going to do anything against the San Francisco 49ers, and they have the number one seed in the balance. San Francisco is my number one defense. And number two, I got the Philadelphia Eagles going against New York Giants. I do agree. I do think that some guys are going to get rested. I do agree that the Eagles are going to play for that NFC East title and that number one seed in the NFC. Look for the Philadelphia Eagles to have a great game defensively. And number three, I got the Dallas Cowboys. Four, the Los Angeles Chargers, baby. Yeah, I do believe the Chargers going against Denver don't have much to play for. The Chargers that played well defensively here down the stretch. In terms of what they've been averaging, they had 9 points last week against the Rams. They had 20 points against the Indianapolis Colts and 7 points against the Tennessee Titans, and then 12 points 2 weeks prior against the Las Vegas Raiders. So 4 out of 5 weeks they scored double digits, close to double. 3 out of 5 weeks they scored double digits, or two times double digits, 20 and 12 against the Indianapolis Colts and the Las Vegas Raiders, and then 9-7 against the Rams and the Tennessee Titans. And then running on my top five, I got the Minnesota Vikings. Probably should be higher on my list, going against the Chicago Bears, who are I don't even know who's starting that quarterback for the Chicago Bears, but it ain't Justin Fields. So just letting you know, Minnesota's in for a break there with the Chicago Bears. But so give me Minnesota as a top five fantasy defense. And I'm outside looking in. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars, Seattle Seahawks, and the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Las Vegas Raiders and Jarrett Stidham, who I believe will make plenty of mistakes against that Kansas City Chiefs defense, who are looking to wrap up the number one seed in the AFC. And then if you're looking for a cheap option in FanDuel, I got the Minnesota Vikings there at 3,700, really cheap for who they're playing in the Chicago Bears. Look for the Minnesota Vikings to do some damage there in FanDuel. In daily fantasy this week as they're in my top five. And then David's rankings. At number one, me and him got the same top three, just in a little bit of a different order. Number one, we both have the San Francisco 49ers. Again, he does agree that the San Francisco 49ers, best defense we always are talking about. He's going against the Arizona Cardinals. I do believe the 49ers will prevail against that team. And number two, he's got the Dallas Cowboys. At three, he's got the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, like we said, these AFC East teams, they are playing for the number one seed. These top three teams are playing for the number one seed in the NFC. So they will be, all three of these defense will be on a roll. And number four, we both have the same team as well, the Los Angeles Chargers. Man, like I said, they have a good matchup this week going against Denver. They've been playing well of late. The passing game has been great. So look for the Chargers to do good things here. He's got in the top five. And then right on his top five, he's got the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Tennessee Titans in the AFC South Championship Showdown here this Sunday. I do agree. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are a pretty good team, top five team. I have them in my outside looking in. They were right there as well. And then on his outside looking in, he's got the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Minnesota Vikings. And both me and David are on the same wavelength when it comes to the defense. This is why me and him are just, man, we are right there. 10 sneaky and dailies, the Minnesota Vikings at 2,900 in DraftKings. Yes, me and David there. 2,900 for the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Chicago Bears. Me and him both believe that this is going to be a rout, and the Minnesota Vikings defense is going to show out, baby. So there goes David's defensive rankings for Week 18. And good luck to you guys. If you guys are still in it, You guys can believe and win that money, baby. This is where it all comes down to. I remember a few years back when I not first started fantasy, but a few years back, I remember a buddy of ours started Matt Flynn in the last game of the season to beat me for the fantasy football championship. So you got guys like Jared Stidham and Mike White playing. So I'm sure guys are putting in their names and putting in those guys to win them some fantasy football championships because it does come down to some of these reserves. So check out our sneakies and daily. Those are some of the top waiver wire guys. Like Isaiah Likely can have a big game. Tommy Tremble can have a big game. Demarcus Robinson can have a big game. Jared Stidham can have a big game. If you haven't already picked up Brock Purdy, he can have a big game this week. And then some of those waiver wire pickups. Like if you're able to pick up like a team like the Bengals or the Jacksonville Jaguars, you picked them up a couple weeks ago. Still keep them because they're still playing high quality fantasy football defense. So far. So keep an eye out for those rankings. And just make sure you listen to the show because we're dropping those gems. Me and David have not been wrong. Well, a couple times we've been wrong, but we've mostly been right in terms of our acquisitions and throughout the season. But anyways, that's been a wrap. And the last part of the show, we always come down to who is going to score the most points in fantasy football this week. And my guy that is going to score the most fantasy football points this week is going to be Christian McCaffrey from the San Francisco 49ers, going up against the Arizona Cardinals, playing at home. I think he has a hell of a game. 100 and 100, baby. I'm going to call it. And 3 tutties. I don't know if that's going to get him number 1, but I'm going to say it's going to get him number 1 this week. Christian McCaffrey is my number 1 fantasy football scorer this week in week 18. And let me know what you guys think there down in the comments. Go ahead and don't be shy, everybody. Go ahead and leave your questions and concerns down there in the comments for us to answer any questions that you may have coming into the last week of the fantasy football season. It's been a long season. It's been a great season, but it's been a pleasure bringing our rankings to you all season long. And I hope you guys keep it locked for the fantasy wrap-up show coming up here in the next week or so with me and David. We'll give you our final rankings for the season and our analysis of this season, and we'll come up with some not so early rankings there down the road. So you guys keep an eye out for that content. But next, we have College Football Showdown. We'll give you a double dose here at the Prime. So make sure you guys keep it locked in here tonight as me and Christian will be bringing College Football Showdown, previewing the college football playoff, baby. So you don't want to miss that. And like I said, please take a second to like, share, and subscribe to Prime Sports World on YouTube, our Facebook page, and our Twitch page. And go ahead and like our NBA Supreme and NFL Supreme Facebook groups there on Facebook. And in case you missed this live feed, like I said, I have dropped the link to our RSS podcast. We are live. We are everywhere where podcasts can be heard on every major outlet: Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, baby. So you guys can catch Prime Sports World and keep up with that exclusive content every time we drop an episode. And if everybody, if I don't see it, like I always say, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Fantasy Football Weekly. Salute, everybody.